I guess our first business basically failed at this point, or it's on pause in the real estate space. And someone had mentioned couches.
I think in general, like this is a problem I see with couch flipping businesses is that it's a great way to get started, but it's very hard to scale if you're only...
Now we have a track record and a network with relationships, so when they put the two together, it's a done deal.
You have like kids that play soccer, like all the parents of other soccer players, you guys go to the games and you're sitting there drinking a beer and you're chatting like, hey, what do you do? It's like, oh, by the way, we sell couches.
Because if we're not on the same page, it would be definitely harder to move forward and build on it.
Don't overthink it. Don't forget who your customer is.
Know how to communicate.
I mean, you gotta learn sales because it's on both sides.
On this episode of The Couch Pod, I'm joined by Kristina and Tyler, couch flippers, husband-wife duo based out in Los Angeles, California. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Pleasure to be here.
So out in LA, you guys are known as the couch people. We were speaking about before, you got started in the pandemic. You're able to make this your full-time source of income between the two of you. Could you tell us a little bit about that journey?
It's been a journey.
It's been a journey for sure, yeah. Not an easy one, it never is. Maybe it's easier for some than others, but there's always going to be obstacles that you have to push through, barriers that you have to push through. We found couches online while we were flipping houses, and houses we saw struggles there. I guess our first business basically failed at this point, or it's on pause in the real estate space. And someone had mentioned couches. You all know Ryan. And we tried it, and it just was like, wow. You really couldn't believe how many couches people need, but every house needs a couch. What about you, man? Are you couch flipping right now, or just software?
I don't flip couches. We did when we were starting up this company. It was towards the end of last year. We were actually trying to build like an Uber for couch flipping model. So the idea was like Ivy Flip would be person listing the couches and who you could sell your couch to. On the back end, we had a network of flippers that we would say like, hey, this couch is available for pickup, go and get it. They would get it, take it to the storage, clean it, send us like information and pictures about the couch. And then we would list it on our website and our marketplace profiles, negotiate with potential customers. And then when the sale was ready, we'd relay that to the flipper, hey, go pick it up. And we were doing that in the New York City area. We actually got to about $25,000, $30,000 a month in revenue, but just operational overhead was quite a bit. We weren't making money on it. So it's like we know what it takes to build the couch flipping business, but it just wasn't sustainable for us in the long term because we were doing like a 20-80 revenue split with the couch flipper. So like 20% of profits was going to us and then 80% of profits were going to the couch flipper. But we also hired like 3 VAs to like do all the marketplace operations, like the sourcing and the selling. And just the margins were too thin on that. And I think in general, like this is a problem I see with couch flipping businesses is that it's a great way to get started, low barrier to entry to business. So you can get started with a couple $1,000 in capital. But it's very hard to scale if you're only sourcing couches on Facebook and you're only selling couches on Facebook. And it's because you can go buy a couch for $200 and flip it for $800 and make $600 in profit, which is a 300% profit margin. And there are very few things that you can flip for 300% profit margin. So it's like there's a lot of money there, and all you have to do is apply your labor to get the value. At a certain point, there's no more labor you can apply. Like there's no more time in the day. So a very common thing I see with flippers is they hustle really hard, they scale up their business, they get to like $10,000, $15,000 a month in sales, and that means they're flipping maybe like 30 couches a month. And I've seen solo people flip 45 couches a month. But once you get to 30, 45 couches a month, you simply cannot flip more couches. There's just not enough time in the day, right? That's like one a day, 1.5 a day. And so they reach this point in their business where they want to keep growing and keep scaling. They literally can't do it on their own, so they have to start bringing in outside labor. What very typically happens is they reach a plateau, and so like they get to like 25 or 30K a month in revenue, but their overall profitability is the same as when they were only doing 10, 15K a month. Because at 10, 15K a month, they're able to do all the work themselves and have an 80% profit margin. They get to 25, 30K a month, and their profit margin drops down to 40%. And so it's like the business is larger and they're making more money, but their profitability is the same as if they were just doing it themselves. So this seems like a limitation in the couch flipping business model, something that we experience, right? Because once again, we were doing the couch flipping, but we didn't hold the assets, we didn't hold the infrastructure we're relying on outside labor. And from that perspective, it is very difficult given the complexity of the business model. For example, if you were to bring in a VA to help you with your sourcing, think about all the time that you spend on Facebook Marketplace, like all the little tips and tricks and strategies that you developed to be able to get in touch with a potential seller and evaluate, is this a good product, talk them down to the right price. And then, if you're not on it at that moment, maybe they go and sell it to someone else. Or, it's Facebook Marketplace, there's a lot of randomness there. So like you set up a deal, you show up and they ghost you. That's why I think it's hard to take it from a hustle to a full-fledged business in a lot of ways without developing some strategies to diversify what you're doing from Facebook and sourcing outside of Facebook and selling outside of Facebook.
Hey flippers, are you still manually searching for deals or posting them on Facebook, OfferUp, and Craigslist? It's time to level up with Ivy Flip, the world's best app for resellers. With Ivy Flip, you can effortlessly source products from Facebook, OfferUp, and Craigslist, all from one convenient app. No more anxiety about missing a good deal. You'll receive notifications as soon as they're posted. Plus, with our cross-posting feature, you can post your listings to multiple marketplaces with a single click. And with our AI-powered scam detection, you won't waste time on fake listings. Stop wasting time with outdated methods. Embrace the tech that transforms your flipping game. Try Ivy Flip today and watch your profits soar. Click the link in the description and get a 1-week free trial of our app now.
Yeah, I think you got to be smart with your hiring. It's a simple business, not an easy business. But yeah, it would just come down to like sourcing, negotiating, how you're able to put everything together. Sourcing is a big problem. And I think people underestimate their network. I think one thing that people don't talk about in the couch game is just their network outside of couches, because we've gotten so many deals through our network, whether it be real estate agents, people in the soccer community, baseball community. Wherever we are, they know that we're the couch people.
What was your first flip? Where did you have that aha moment that this could be a real lucrative stream of income for you?
We actually flipped a couch before we were flipping couches. We sold a bunch of stuff on eBay. Small ticket items, had to do a lot more volume. But we flipped a couch at a garage sale. The lady was just giving it away. We took it and flipped it. That was even before we even heard about couch flipping.
Amazing. And now on a monthly basis, how are you doing with the business compared to where you had started out in the pandemic?
We weren't as aggressively doing it during the pandemic. It was like trying to figure out if it was going to be sustainable, if we can do it. And then you were still doing construction stuff with real estate.
We had to try it before we bought it. Before we dove all the way in. We tried it a little before we went full time for sure.
I see. So as of a year ago, this has really turned into more than just a side hustle. And it's like the main focus of your time and attention.
Correct.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. And do you have a storefront, like a warehouse? Are you operating in your garage and like some storage units? Like what's the setup today?
Today it's garage.
Yeah, it's a garage.
We had 2 storage units at one point, went through some struggles. Now we're in the garage, but next move will be a warehouse, whether it be like, I don't think it's going to be storefront retail. It might be like commercial or industrial. I forget which one you can actually sell out of, but whichever one it is, that's what we'll go for.
Okay, great. Do you have a target in terms of square footage, or what are your ideas?
Minimum, we'd need 1,500.
Oh, yeah.
We focus on speed, I would say. Speed, I think, is what helps us, because we'll list it and it'll be sold within hours. The longest we'll hold a couch is 2-3 days.
Yeah. But it has to be like a unique couch, I think.
Or something really big. Sometimes the really big ones take a little longer, just because they require a bigger house.
And that's really good. I look at the financial statements of flippers all the time, at least 2-3 a week. And one metric that I think is really important is turnover rate. That's defined as the time from which you purchase the couch to the time that it takes to sell it. A really good turnover rate is about a week. So if you can turn over a couch in a week, that you're doing really well. I would say that's in top 10, 20% of flippers. A good turnover rate is 2 weeks. An okay turnover rate is 3 weeks. And if you're taking 4 weeks to flip a couch, like that's probably too long. If you're able to consistently sell through your inventory in 2 to 3 days, I mean, that's the gold standard, really.
I can say for sure in the last 6 months, we have not gone over a week.
Yeah, I think the longest maybe 2 days, 3 days. But if it sits longer than a week, then we know something's not going good.
What do you attribute to your ability to flip couches so quickly?
Probably our reviews, our track record, our network again. Yeah.
I think network is one of our biggest.
Network, I think, is one of those hidden things that everyone has, but not everyone uses. And nobody really talks about it in the couches. We came from real estate. That's like the bread and butter in real estate. It's like your network, your network, your network. We had a good local network, and we get so many couches coming in from that network and so many couches going out. In addition to that, we have the 5-star reviews, so people are like, oh, my friend told me to look you up, they got a good couch. A referral, or lots of referrals.
It sounds like you are long-standing members within your community, a tight-knit community as well. Networked, you've built a reputation, and people know to come to you, which is honestly really the goal of any person building a couch flipping business. I think so many of us start off and we're too focused on transactions, making transactions on Facebook Marketplace, buying transactionally, selling transactionally, whereas the people that have longevity are the ones that build that reputation as the couch people in their neighborhood. And so what percentage of your overall sales would you say come from just listing things on Facebook Marketplace versus like people in your community reaching out to you and say, hey, do you have something available for us?
30 to 40%.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. A significant chunk. Do you think that part of your success in turning over couches quickly come from your ability to spot deals that are going to be attractive to your audience, like kind of knowing what your customers want?
Yeah, I would say so.
Definitely. Yeah, you gotta buy right. You know, you make your money when you buy it. We look for gray, right? That's pretty obvious. Gray, beige, dark blue.
No skirts.
We don't do skirts. We stay away from, I don't want to talk bad about anyone, but there's, we don't flip IKEA couches. I don't know. They just don't resell.
Well, at least not in this market. It might sell in a different area, but here, those are the ones that we know to stay away from because they will be on the back burner for a minute.
Not because they're not a nice couch. Maybe they're not desirable. I don't know what it is. But yeah, we don't do the IKEAs. We don't do the Wayfair couches. It's a little too warm over here for leather. So leather's like a hit or miss. We're looking for gray fabric sectionals, ottomans. Ottomans are a big hit, and recliners too, surprisingly.
And reversible chases, those ones are selling minutes. Honestly, we have so many people that want reversible chases. They'll reach out like, hey, did you get another one? When, don't list it, send it to us first. So we get a lot of those too.
We always have a wait list of 3 or 4 people that either just missed out on the last one and they're like every day, hey, you got a new one. They're just waiting for the next couch.
I mean, that's a great place to be. One of the best problems to have, right? You can't keep up with demand. So what kind of styles of couches are you looking for? Like typically mid-century modern couches?
Modern.
And then are there any brands that you guys do really well with?
I wouldn't say necessarily a brand. It's going to be the desirable color and then mostly the color and the size.
Color, size, yeah. As far as brand, like which one does really well, I mean, I guess it's the most expensive brand that you can get for really cheap, right? Like yesterday we picked up a West Elm. Retails right now for like $7,700. We got it for $100.
$7,700. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you should make an easy $1,000 on that, if not more.
Easy. Yeah, exactly. It's the Dalton, if you want to look it up. The West Elm Dalton, like power recliners, all that.
Going back to this idea of community and building network, how did you start doing that? Like, how did you get the word out and build this reputation?
I think just focusing on building a reputation, like behind closed doors first. I can go out and talk about it all I want, but unless I have proof or a track record, then it's kind of... But now we have a track record and a network with relationships, so when they put the two together, it's a done deal.
So, I mean, like something you mentioned earlier was you got the word out in your soccer community, for example. So maybe you have like kids that play soccer, like all the parents of other soccer players, you guys go to the games and you're, sitting there drinking a beer and you're chatting like, hey, what do you do? It's like, oh, by the way, we sell couches. Kind of that kind of networking.
I think and I think also like showing up to practices or soccer games, especially if we're going out of town, we'll make sure we pick up a couch. So there's usually always a couch in the back of a truck. And so that also people started seeing and connecting, oh, you guys, why do you have so many couches? And that's a lot of how the conversations got brought up.
And then us just posting them on Facebook, naturally we'll become Facebook friends. And they'll just see all of our listings. They'll be like, what are you guys doing with all these couches?
Interesting. So, like 10 years ago or so, I had a marketing agency and we did business locally in addition to nationally, but a good chunk of the customers that we're bringing in early days, I would actually go to these small business chamber events, these local networking events in my community, go there, shake hands, hand out business cards. Are you guys doing any of that?
Not with the couches.
Business cards, no. No, not going to. It kind of came naturally. Like, we're not going out and forcing it. Like, we're not just going to random places, handing out stuff. We are kind of just in the community, and then, oh yeah, by the way, we got couches. You know what I mean? It's not something that we go out like couches, couches, couches. We're just actually community members, I think. It's not forced. And then they ask us, like, what are you doing with all these couches? And then they tell all their friends. We get all their friends' couches. They buy couches, all that stuff.
Do you think that being a husband-wife duo helps you market yourself as the couch people in your community? You're together, you have a family, and you're participating, like an element of civic participation there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because if we're not on the same page, it would be definitely harder to move forward and build on it.
Not just that, people will sell a couch to her, but they don't want to sell it to me.
True.
Right? Stuff like that. Whatever it is, they want to sell it to the female or the male connection. Because sales are like relatable, right? People do business with people they like or that they feel some sort of energy. So yeah, it definitely helps. We also have split profiles, so I buy everything technically on my Facebook, and she does all the listing. She's all sales.
And do you feel like as you're having these customer interactions that certain people will gravitate more towards you, Kristina, versus Tyler being the face of the operation?
I think it's mostly on the buying aspect for us because, someone wants to buy something, they're going to buy it no matter what. But when it comes to selling a couch to someone, I think that's where we keep it mostly separate for the accounts. So like you were saying, some people will buy or sell to him versus me or sell to me versus him. But when it comes to like us selling, I don't think we really have any issues on that, like selling wise.
I think it's like 50-50.
And you had mentioned that you have this past in real estate, fixing and flipping of houses. Is that correct?
Kind of. If you want to get all the way down, we wholesaled. So we signed the contract.
Got it. So do you have like your real estate agent's license, for example?
No,
not for wholesaling.
So wholesaling, it's basically where you market to sellers, get a property in a contract, and then you'll sell your equitable interest. We're flipping the paper to the property, not the actual property. But all of our buyers would be someone that's going to flip it or hold it and rent it.
What were some skills that you learned while flipping wholesale that you felt transferred over to your couch flipping business?
All of it, yeah. All of them made it easier because it's the same process, I think.
Less emotion.
Yeah, less emotion, lower ticket item, same exact process, right? We're looking for a motivated seller that wants to get this couch out right now for really cheap, whatever you'll pay. We clean it and then we sell it.
So it is in motion the same process, but obviously very different kinds of items.
Right, exactly. And then there's no escrows. You don't need a license to sell couches, as in the way you would need a license to sell real estate.
And I imagine that you made a lot of connections in the real estate industry then, whether it be with like agents, brokers, construction firms, etc. And if someone's building a house or they're moving into a new home, they probably need some new furniture. So I'm curious if like any of those connections play out in your day-to-day today as couch flippers.
More as we grow. Yeah. It's like here and there, but more as we grow. Yeah, definitely.
So it sounds like you're in a pretty good spot with the business today. It's a smaller operation given that it's still in your home, but you're turning over couches very quickly. So the space limitation may not be as impactful. But like if you have a waiting list of 3 to 4 people for any given couch on a given day, that means there's room for growth. I'm curious what some of your plans are as you look forward to the future for where you're looking to take things next.
I think step by step would be, first we need some more space. So we're going to look at more space, and then we're going to hire someone to clean for sure. Which we've had a little bit in the past here and there. We get help when we need it. It's been us for a lot of the labor. And I think once we get a little more space, we'll have the capacity to have an employee cleaning 1 to 2 a day. We still maybe clean 1 a day, and then just increase our speed,
yeah.
volume.
How many couches are you flipping in a given month today?
Last month it was 20, but it averages 15 right now.
What are the metrics around your average transaction? Like how much are you buying it for and how much are you flipping it for?
We hardly ever pay more than $150
Yeah.
for a couch. On average, they're $550 going out the door.
And what do you think the limitation is in the business today? Is it just space, or is there something else that's keeping you from getting to like 30 or 40 flips a month?
It would be space.
Space, yeah.
And
And
time, labor, yeah. And then I think some months sourcing could be an issue. Like, yeah, we'll have the slower months in the summer and stuff where sourcing maybe isn't as great, or maybe sourcing is really good but selling isn't great. Maybe everyone's out of town. So sourcing for sure could be a bottleneck, but I think right now we need time, labor, and a little space.
Understood. And how are you guys marketing yourself? Like, are you incorporated? Do you have like a website, storefront, or are you still predominantly interacting with people through your Facebook Marketplace profile?
Yeah, through Facebook and OfferUp.
Yeah, it's all organic. We don't spend any money on marketing. And then if we don't sell it or buy it on Facebook or OfferUp, it'll be through the network, through our network, whether it be a text message or they hit her up on Instagram or TikTok.
And have you considered growing into some other marketing channels? Maybe starting a Facebook group. That's one strategy that's been very popular, described in our podcast with a couple different guests. But I'm just curious, like, where your ideas are for how to grow.
We did.
Yeah, we just started our Facebook group to do drops and stuff and communicate more with the ones that are looking to buy and haven't bought one yet, or looking to sell and haven't sold theirs yet. So yeah, we just started that up.
Okay, great. And how's that been going? Like, are you having success getting people to join the group? What kinds of content are you posting?
Yeah, we get them to join, but we're still transacting outside of that faster than it takes us longer to go into the group and post it than it does for us to sell it.
Again, it comes down to the time. Like, we got to make sure we're focusing our energy in certain spots. And sometimes the social media platforms take up a little bit more time.
I think a lot of people struggle to get traction out of the Facebook group, especially early on. I think, a good place to be is getting it to 500 members and then being more intentional with the content that you're posting. But the thing that doesn't work well is if you just take your inventory and the listings that you are posting on Facebook Marketplace, you're just posting that one-to-one in your group. It's just not engaging enough. But like the people that I see doing the best with their groups are telling their story, right? It's like, hey, we're Kristina and Tyler. We're a local family. We've been in this community for 10, 15 years. We got into couch flipping and it's been really great so far. And here's like our mission. Here's what you can expect from us. And then they document, they're selling themselves, not just the couches, and they're documenting the journey. And so I think once you have around a couple hundred people in the group, that you can kind of change you can start telling that story in your group and expect to get some better traction. But as with all things, it takes time.
As far as things like what we would look to grow into, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, right? Like one of the things we've thought about is just going around to property management companies, right? Real estate agents that we know already and some that we don't know. Just tell them what we do. Apartment complexes. Talk to somebody.
What part of Los Angeles are you guys in?
We're in the desert. We're in LA County, but we're in the desert. We're a 45-minute drive from LA without traffic.
Depending on traffic, yeah. Could be 45, could be 3 hours.
Yeah.
I think that might help us a little bit too, is being where we are. Because I know in LA, flippers experience, they have to sell their couches for less just because there's so many out there. Not just so many flippers, but so many people just getting rid of their couch right now. So we're a little bit outside the city. I think that helps because there's less people getting rid of couches up here, and we have all the couches. And then if we don't have a couch here, I just gotta make a short drive and into unlimited couches.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So part of your success comes down to the geographic arbitrage. You're very close to an unlimited supply of couches, but the fact that you need to go drive 45 minutes, hour and a half into the city to go get that couch, bring it out, creates a little bit of a barrier for your average person in your city to keeps them from making that journey themselves. And part of the value that you're providing is just like you're willing to spend that time, make the drive and bring it back.
Yeah, the math still works out really well.
Yeah, and we'll usually make it work for us too. Like if we know we're going to drive a little bit further for a couch, we'll try to pick up another couch so it makes the time a little bit better for us.
And how would you describe the market that you're in? You know, some towns are like college cities, you know, university students looking to fill up their apartment. Others are more like suburban, others are more metropolitan. Like, how would you describe the people in your area that you commonly sell to?
Suburban for sure. We live in a commuting town, so everyone commutes to work in LA. Not everyone, about half. And then the other half, I guess people would call a military town, maybe. We have a lot of aerospace out here. Edwards Air Force Base is right up the street. We've actually sold to a lot of military, yeah.
International military.
They come over from overseas and they're like, hey, my friend got a couch off you. What do you got?
Or, hey, I just bought a couch off you. I'm being relocated. You know, do you want to come get it back from us? So
Lots of those, lots of those.
So how would you describe the needs of the military people in your town that you serve versus the commuter type people?
The need would be an affordable couch that can get dropped off.
yeah.
Because they're not going to be there for long. You know, their term is whatever it is, the contract, 2 years, 1 year, 4 years. So they just want something they can use for a little while. We've even had people ask us if they can rent couches, but we stay away from that. We don't do that. So their need would be an affordable couch that could be dropped off, you know, that they don't have to worry about, oh, I spent $3,000 on it or $5,000. Can I ship it back? Is it worth for me to ship it back?
Got it. So meeting more of like a temporary housing need compared to like your commuters who may sit on that couch for the next 10 years. Military people are going to be there for like a year, 2 years tops. And then at that point they need to liquidate. So they don't want to make huge investment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So between the two of you, how are you dividing labor? So Kristina, sounds like you're doing most of the selling, but like how do you like generally lay out the operations of the business today?
Yeah, she's disposition. I'm acquisition. I do most of the moving, the couches, most of the cleaning. She'll help and she always offers to help, but I'd like to stay in the labor part, you know, and then get her more on the back end until we hire people to take care of all of it.
How did you arrive at that division of labor? Is it just more efficient? Is it something that like, you know, Kristina is better working with customers, or is it kind of just like a natural flow to things? I'm just curious, like how you decided to do things that way.
I think it came naturally when we first started real estate. I actually first started real estate, I guess.
Yeah,
I dove all the way in. She was still working. And when you're looking for deals, you're calling people all day long. I mean, unless you got a big marketing budget, which we didn't. So we went straight to seller, direct marketing, thousands of phone calls. That's where I got my practice. She came in a little later and helped with the disposition side, I guess, maybe naturally, just because that's where we were in life. I was already handling all the acquisition, and then that just transferred over.
It's really cool to me that you two are doing this together. Oftentimes, like, you don't necessarily see both husband and wife jumping in on the same venture. Maybe someone keeps a day job and like one person is flipping couches, but it seems like you've had this partnership dynamic, not just in the flipping couches, but in flipping wholesale. I guess what motivated that? Like, how did you figure out like we want to do this together as opposed to doing your own things?
I think just making any successful business work, we should both be on the same page, because if you're not, then you can get conflict or you don't know if you can grow it to that level. So just being on the same page, I think just makes it 10 times better and makes it smoother. And plus, I think we both enjoy it.
Yeah. We came from not careers that we didn't really like, I guess, and we weren't as happy. We weren't getting the most out of it. We kind of naturally tumbled upon it, I guess. But it's not easy, right? We have to know when we need to step away from each other. But this wasn't our first entrepreneurship journey. You know, we did the real estate. We tried reselling stuff on eBay. We did a couple other things, construction, animals. This isn't our first entrepreneurship journey, and we kind of just met, if you will. And we're like, okay, well, we can both do this and do it stronger and do it better.
Well, that's awesome. When you get married or you're in a relationship, a really good foundation for that marriage is shared values, shared goals and ambitions in life. It's a much stronger foundation than just like how you feel at the moment. sort of this traditional archetype of love. But I think it can be overwhelming for a lot of people too, to do something with their partner, because you're living together, you're eating, you're breathing together, now you're working together as well. So I imagine that this can be good at times, but also maybe a source of conflict.
I think we've just...
For sure.
Yeah, definitely there can be some conflicts, but I think since we've always technically worked together, even when we... way back in the day when we had regular jobs.
Well, we met working
together. So we've always had to learn how to be together, work together, and it's worked. I mean, obviously there's days where we know, all right, we need to have a few minutes alone, but for the most part, it flows pretty well.
I think understanding your partner, understanding yourself, and understanding when not to be, like, there's days where we just have to leave each other alone, you know? But it's normal, I'd say. But you learn, and it gets easier as you learn, or more natural as you go.
Well, it sounds like someone had their hands in the company jar. Okay, and are there times at which you guys have conflict, and how are you resolving? Like, what's an example, let's say, of a disagreement you had about where to take the business or some decision in the business, and how did you resolve that?
I don't think we've ever had anything business-wise where we didn't know how to pivot or communicate to each other. I don't think we've ever had.
I guess it just comes down to going through the motion and then learning what works best for me, what works best for her, and what works best for us together. But as far as like where we want to take the business, there's not any disagreement there, because we both want it to go to the roof, right? Through the roof.
And we both want to see us succeed.
Yeah. But I think maybe later on down the road, as far as strategy on how we get there, maybe there might be some disagreement. I don't know, but we'll get through it. But as far as where we want to take the company, we're on the same page.
We're on the same page.
Okay, amazing. A shared vision, shared execution sounds like a recipe for success.
I agree.
So looking back at your history through the past couple of years flipping couches, what was the worst flip that you came across? Something that you definitely avoid in the future?
Sun damage is one thing you just can't fix. At least I haven't figured it out. And yeah, it's just a really bad eyesore. I don't know. We definitely don't do any smoking couches.
No.
You can never get the smell out. So we stay away from smoking, sun damage. We stay away from funny colors. No red. None of that. Our worst flip was sun damage. It went to the dump. We flipped it to the waste management.
How much did you pick it up for, and how long were you sitting on it? Like, what are the details?
Picked it up for free. Sat on it for a couple weeks before we were like, yeah, this
We're
is
done
not.
with
This is.
I don't even think we got it to get listed. We just took it.
We
were
to the
in
dump.
limbo trying to figure out, should we list it, and then we didn't want to have that on our listings. So we just try to avoid anything that's going to show an eyesore towards the business.
Yeah, as far as it's like, if you think about your reputation, like, I don't want to sell a piece of crap couch.
Yeah.
You know, I want to sell a couch that I would buy, I would sit on. So we stay away from anything that doesn't fit that description, basically.
Sun damage, very hard to work with. There's not a lot you can do except maybe try to paint the couch. There's like fabric paint that, some people use to deal with it, but it's not a great solution either. And then smoking couches as well. Like, you can get rid of the smell, but it takes specialized equipment and probably not worth it for your average Joe. Then again, there are some kinds of damage that for the average consumer would be difficult to deal with, but for a couch flipper represents an opportunity. And I'm wondering if there anything that you look out for, like, hey, like, this is kind of a minor thing. It prevents someone else from wanting it, but it's an opportunity for us. Do you know how to spot deals like that?
Broken zippers, those are easy to fix.
Yeah.
She's the master. If I see a broken zipper, I'm like, hey, can you fix this? Broken zippers are an easy fix. Little rips in the fabric, little on the seams, those are especially easier than if it were a big hole in the middle of the couch. We try to stay away from those. But if there's tears on the edges, on the back of the couch that nobody sees, stuff like that. Some structural damage. Sometimes there will be somebody got body slammed on the couch wrestling and the arm's broken. I fixed a lot of arms. Sometimes the back's broken. We'll fix the back.
If it's anything major that we know that is going to take a little bit longer, usually we'll avoid.
How do you fix a zipper? Actually, never heard about this.
Basically, you just have to make sure the teeth are aligned. You have to cut it at a certain point to realign it. It just depends on the zipper too. There's different numbers on zippers, so you have to make sure you have the right zipper. But yeah, it's just making sure the teeth are aligned and then restitching it at the bottom so it doesn't come back off the track.
I see. So you have like a box full of zippers.
Now we do.
Yeah. Yeah, anytime there's couches that have like throw pillows, we'll still keep it, 1 for the material just in case, and 2 the stuffing, and 3 the zippers.
So you have like a nice little collection of couch-related doodads that you might deploy for different fixes.
Yeah, zippers,
Legs.
legs, fabric too, because sometimes she'll need to patch it.
Especially if it's like a unique fabric that I know we won't see too much of, we'll make sure we save at least like a throw pillow or some of the extra material.
So yeah, box of fabric, bag of zippers,
Bag of
box of
stuffing.
legs, stuffing. We keep stuffing because sometimes you get saggy pillows.
Okay, so we talked about your worst flip. What was your best flip?
Our best flip was a return to a fabric store who I'm still friends with. He's like a designer in LA. Someone returned a couch. They did, for whatever reason, it didn't work out, and he listed it for $100. So I picked it up and we sold it for 13
I think so, yeah.
next day.
Immediate $1,200 profit,
Yeah, minus labor and gas, but yeah.
right? That's a great thing about couch flipping, right? Once again, very few things in life that you're going to be able to turn around and flip for 1,200% profit.
Yeah, it's a unique area, right? Because couches are pretty heavy, so a lot of people can't necessarily move them themselves, or they just don't want to. They're really big, so sometimes it costs more to pack it and ship it than it does just to get rid of it and get a new one where you go.
Sometimes it's a single person, can't do it themselves.
Yeah, so they're big and bulky, they're heavy, and I feel like they're kind of a cherished item in the house, but they hold more value than like a TV does, you know, or even a dining table. I see people flipping furniture, and unless it's a designer brand, they're not holding as much value as the giant couch does for some reason. I don't know why.
It is a good point. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like couches seem to be this unique area in the flipping world where you just have tremendous opportunity for profit margins. I think, part of it is just how big and bulky they are. It's like it's an inconvenience, but like compared to like a mattress, for example, it holds its value a lot better. And I think people just have like more of a gross connotation with sleeping on someone else's mattress. But yeah, like other types of furniture do retain their value, but typically more like the vintage pieces, like if something is really well made. Yeah, so I think couches are unique. Everyone needs a couch. It's probably like one of the first pieces of furniture that you're going to bring into a house that you're furnishing. People tend to not know what the value of a couch is compared to like a flipper. They just like, they buy it and they like has a couple stains or like a tear and they just assume that it's worthless. Whereas like for your couch flipper who is buying 5 couches a week, they know that's actually a gold mine. And then that combined with the value added labor, transporting it out of the house, cleaning it, taking better photos, I think creates the opportunity for arbitrage. But I'm not certain why. I mean, I think there certainly are other categories of flipping that can do well, but probably not as popularized as couch flipping.
And I think too, when it comes to like other furnitures, they want something unique, something that's more to their personality of their house and stuff. Whereas couches, you can basically make it work in any kind of decor or whatnot.
Yeah, so we're coming up at our hour together. If you had to give one piece of advice to an audience member that's just starting their journey or looking to get into couch flipping, what would you tell them?
Not to overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Don't forget who your customer is.
Know how to communicate.
Sales. I mean, you got to learn sales because it's on both. It's the whole business, right? Acquisition and disposition. So you got to know sales. You got to know how to talk to people, communicate.
Not get offended easy.
Have a bit of a thick skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think not overthinking it is a big thing.
I think the number one.
Because it's still just a used couch, right? Like I'm not selling it as a brand new couch. I will clean it. It'll be a lot cleaner than when I picked it up, but it won't be perfect. It's a used couch. So yes, it is clean enough for me to lay down on, but it might not be a perfect couch. It's a used couch. So don't forget your customer. They want a clean, affordable couch. That's what it comes down to.
Don't overthink it and just get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wise, actionable words. Well, Kristina and Tyler, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Couch Pod. Looking forward to staying in touch and seeing you continue your journey. And hopefully we can have you on as guests in the future as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks for your time, Charles.
Thank you.